continue to take grant money with strings attached to it, then we already lost. When is someone going to stand up for the people and say, the buck stopped here? They did it in Hillsborough. Well, you know what? We're not doing it here. And I think that you have to be very strong. And you need to know what the law is. And the law and what we live under, we have unalienable rights. And I don't care. We have also statutes at the federal level that say that this is illegal. And as far as our governor goes, he's no good. He's the one that pushed the in-state tuition. So if he didn't know and he weren't going to put in all these illegal invaders coming over our border, we are a sovereign country. We should be a sovereign country. Our Constitution dictates that. And we have to have you stand up for us, period. And we don't want the Common Core. Many of you might say it's the law and we're going to follow it. Well, you need to find a back door to teach these children, to educate them so they have a freedom to go on to be what they want to be. It's not for a parent to even say, you have to be a doctor. Why should we let the government tell our kids that they only fit into this box and they're going that way? It's wrong, period. It's immoral, it's unethical, and it's illegal. Period. That was more of a dictate to you. But I wonder if you have ever thought of that in that context. There are laws, but we have a court system. And you know what? We have 4 lousy county commissioners sitting there that didn't follow the law. And are you going to follow in their footsteps, or are you going to stand up for the people? Because we paid a lot of money for their lawyers, and we're willing to pay a lot of money for your lawyers to fight for us.
All right, so that was a really loaded question. I don't know whether I can answer the whole question.
Deb, was that a question?
It is.
No.
Are you going to stand up for us?
Yes.
Are you going to take it to Tallahassee?
No, absolutely. I think you heard from all of us. I'm not going to put words in their mouth, but I think what you heard from all of us is, yes, we're going to take it to Tallahassee. But it's also your responsibility to make sure.
Yes.
Okay, so if we're in this together, I think we can make this happen. All right? I get it. Nobody likes Common Core. I don't think anybody up on the stage really right now likes Common Core. I don't like it. The problem is when we are elected, and, well, I'm going to say, hopefully all of us are elected. Well, there's 3 of you up there. One of you is going to be elected, and the other 2 of us are going to be elected. But when we are on the board, we are sworn constitutional officers, and we can't just say we don't like Common Core and therefore we aren't going to implement it. What we can do as a school board is make sure that the curriculum piece of Common Core is not overly biased and adversely advantageous to our students. We just can't say, hey, we're the school board of Pinellas County and screw you, and we aren't going to do this. We can't do that. We when elected, we're going to hold up our hand and we're going to swear on the Bible. I know that's paramount to you, so we're going to put our hand on that holy book and we're going to say, we solemnly swear we're going to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the state of Florida. And we just can't say we are not going to implement Common Core. We can't do that. Okay? I get it. I don't like Common Core. I don't think teachers like Common Core. I don't think parents like Common Core. It's here. But we can go up to Tallahassee as representatives and say, we don't like it. But the only way we can do that is for you to back us up. Did I hear time?
Good.
So I'm a U.S. historian. I have a PhD in United States history. I know far more United States history than any ordinary human being should know. And it's made me love this country even more. And running for public office for the very first time, one of the things that I think is really most amazing about this country is that we can have these conversations. and we can have these debates. Nobody's shutting this down. Nobody's preventing this from happening, and I believe that that's the spirit that should be on the board as well. I'm not going up there to be a dictator. I'm going up there to be a representative. I'm going up there to keep this conversation going. In the end, it doesn't matter what I personally believe. If I'm doing my job, I'm up there as a representative. I'm up there speaking for, and because I'm District 3 and I'm county-wide, I'm speaking for the entire county. That's what I need to do. I don't know what the entire county thinks. What I'm hearing, the most common question I've gotten since I've been on the campaign trail, is about Common Core. So is this an issue that people in Pinellas County are very interested in addressing in a more open way? The answer seems to be yes. And as your representative, I would insist that that's what we do. And that's what we work on. I had another point I was going to make, and I've completely forgotten it. So I'm going to stop with that. But again, this is an amazing country. This is an amazing country, right? This is an experiment that no one else. No, it still is an amazing country. I will not turn my back on this country. I will not do it. This is an experiment where people have fought for more than 200 years. Some of the wackiest ideas have come along, and they've been pushed back. This is a country where people are allowed to speak. This is a country where people are allowed to participate. I am shocked at the low turnout for Pinellas County School Board forums. I mean, let's count the number in this room. Forum after forum after forum. Here is a vital institution in our economy, and I do think it's a vital institution in our economy. This was my other point. I believe in this country and the promise of this country. This is a country where everybody has an opportunity. It doesn't mean they take advantage of it or succeed. That means that every child shouldn't be held accountable for the mistakes that their parents made, and the only place we can assure that is in our public schools. That's where merit plays out. Every child is not going to take advantage of that. Every child isn't going to do the best with that, but we need to give them all that opportunity. And the role of the public school is twofold as far as I'm concerned. One, education. We need to educate. We need to educate in history. We need to educate in a whole bunch of things. Religion, we need to educate. But two, the public school is where we learn citizenship as well, where we learn that these are the forums that we come to, that if we care about our country, we come out when our school board members have school board forums and we ask the questions. We don't sit back and wait for the election to pass and then go, well, I don't understand why it happened that way. All of you should be commended for coming out and spending this much time listening to us candidates talk about these issues. Bravo for you. That's why this country's so great. That's what I believe in. So thank you.
Well, I think I've made it clear through the whole presentation that I don't support Common Core, and that I would go to Tallahassee. I was on the initial lawsuit, say Pinellas, against the county commissioners, who I do believe have and continue to break the law. So I'm very strong on that issue. And about the Common Core. But I will tell you, two questions when I've been knocking on doors. I knock on a door and there's two questions. First question, are you Democrat or Republican? Okay, everybody says it. Okay. Second question, do you support Common Core? Every single door, do you support Common Core? The parents are fed up. They don't support it. And I do believe if you get other school boards, and we're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, of course you have to keep standards for teachers. We've had standards for teachers since teachers have ever taught. So come on, let's not think that because we're against this that we're not going to be held accountable. Yes, we are. But we're being mandated how to teach this. That's the problem. You're being taught to teach a certain way. Do you know that I get to teach 5th grade 5 minutes of social studies where I used to teach the Constitution? My kids used to know the preamble. They don't get that now. Okay? There's no time for it. So you're worried about where your kids are going to go in the future? Your kids are not even going to know your government or what state they live in, for that matter.
That's the idea.
It is sad. Those are things that need to be said at the school board, and those are things that you can change at a school board level. And yes, I will go to Tallahassee, and I will have a strong voice. I haven't been obnoxious enough tonight. Thank you.
Common theme I hear tonight, and I think part of the frustration is that elected officials do not listen to the people who elect them.
Right.
Okay? That's the issue.
That is an issue.
So again, as Kent mentioned earlier, I could argue, again, from a secondary math point of view, algebra is algebra. Okay? No matter how you shake it, there's X's and Y's and Z's and everything else. The whole key now is how do we present it to the kids? Okay? That's the change from a secondary math level. Okay? But again, if the representatives of if the public of the Pinellas County want to get rid of Common Core, let's get on the bus together and let's go.
Yeah.
What are we waiting for? Okay? But again, I may be wrong. Okay? A lot of the frustration is that your elected officials don't listen to you. Am I right or wrong? That's the problem. Okay?
That's why we're going to lose the election.
If you look around the room, you'll see some framed pictures here in documents. That's what I believe in, that's how I live my life, and that's what I will base my decisions on. And Deb, I promise you, I will listen and I will represent you, because I don't want to have to hear you lecture me after. I say that lovingly.
I know you do. She's our little pit bull. I'm a pit bull.
Thank you. Question for you, it's sort of a two-part, but it actually really is one principal idea. You talked about setting the vision. One of the things that came up that the school board had an opportunity on was selection of textbooks, or was that going to be mandated by the state? So if the school board is to establish the direction, and basically we have common testing, we've all admitted that that's what has to be done, that's by law, but the curriculum is up to the school district to determine. Obviously, tests, they say, doesn't drive the curriculum, but at the same time, it really does. But if the school board actually set the vision, or how would you set the vision? Would you select the textbooks that represented the values that we think we need to have, how to teach the math, how to teach whatever, whether we have the Constitution being taught again in schools, and dictate that? And then the other part would be, is because we're hearing that, well, I don't have to do anything, you can't fail me anyway. As setting the direction for the schools as a board member, would you call an F and F? When somebody fails, document it that way. I've heard that disciplinary problems, in other words, is that going to be the vision for this school board, that everything gets documented the way it should be? And if somebody's failing, they're failing, and hold them back, not to base it based on test scores and everything else for the school district, because we don't want to look like we have bad schools. So what would you do for the school board?
I'll go first this time. Kind of a two-part question there, Marcus. The first part was, there was a bill up in Tallahassee this year based on something that happened in Volusia County, and that was a bunch of outraged parents and citizens were outraged due to some, what you mentioned earlier, some Islamic language, that they wanted to basically do away with the Department of Education oversight of textbooks and all teaching materials. It was amended and then amended and amended with like 2 or 3 strike calls. What came out of that was the Department of Education still has their approved materials list. Each district has the option of, the final bill actually gave the authority and the obligation to the district to have the choice of creating their own review of materials process, and it was specifically stated how they had to do that, come up with a board member, not school board members, but members, and the whole process was dictated in the statute. But it did stipulate that each school district had to have a process by which a parent can complain, how to register, the process of how to register that complaint. I'm sorry, I'm moving around. And the appellate process and so forth. So the Pinellas district, I believe, I was kind of hoping there'd be some incumbents here to tell us where we're at in that process. That hasn't been developed yet. I think it should be local decision. However, statewide, I don't know that any district actually has opted to create that review process and do it. But by law, and it always was, this law is nothing new. It was by Hayes. It just reiterated what the law already was, as the school the school board being the ultimate authority and having the constitutional, it did add the word constitutional, if I remember right, but they always had the duty and the obligation to set the curriculum. Second part of that question. Oh, do I agree with passing students when they don't really pass? Absolutely not. No, no, no.
Because that ultimately becomes your vision, what's the school board's direction and visions.
Right.
Stay right here. You don't need a 911 call. Textbooks, yes. In the state of Florida, the list is given out by the state. The local system always has the right to choose what books they want to use. As far as the F, one of the reasons, not one of the reasons, the main reason why middle school and high school went to 7-period days was to allow students who are failing to take extra courses. Because if they only have 5 out of 6, okay, you need so many credits per year, okay, students were falling behind. There are many ways that students can catch up, okay, but the main reason, okay, was to go to 7 periods, was so that students could take an extra course to make up for a failure. But a failure is a failure is a failure, okay? If you're going 75 in a 60-mile-an-hour zone, you're going to get a little ticket and a big bill, okay? So if you have students who have not been successful in school, of course they have to fail, okay? There has to be, well,